guys, how's it going? Today we've got a couple of things to work on. First, we're starting here in the raised bed garden to plant a fall crop of spinach and sugar snap peas. And then we're gonna head out to the dirt lands, and where we had ranunculus and one variety of potatoes that we've harvested so far, I'm gonna be planting a bunch of sunflowers because they are 50 to 90 day, and I think we've got plenty of time to get another crop of sunflowers up and blooming by the end of the season. When we are done with that, we just had a load of shrubs arrive this morning, so we're going to head to the high tunnels, we're going to unbox those and take a look at what we got. So here we are in the raised bed garden. This is where we're going to be planting. In fact, we don't have that much to plant because I usually count on a crop of bachelor's buttons to come up right here in this side of the bed, and I can see a few popping through. I'm going to plant the sugar snap pole peas right here for this little trellis, and then we'll plant our spinach right here. We've got stuff going in the rest of the beds still, stuff going strong, like our Lilliput zinnias. We've got tomatoes, peppers, there's pole beans in the far corner, our herb garden, quartet rainbow stock, our Lysianthus looking beautiful, even though they're not staked. And then over here, we've got a few things. So we've got our blue wheat, we've got a broccoli bed that we seeded in the heat, and I'm super happy with the germination. However, I just noticed some damage. We need to come out here with some BT and spray because they've got the little caterpillars, which did not afflict my first crop at all. I did not have to spray it at all, but these are definitely, seeing some of that damage. So we need to do that. We seeded some melons. We seeded 4 hills in here and only 3 came up, which is fine. It's probably best that this one in the back end didn't come up because the vines go all over and they want to tangle up in the arbs back here. So not the most ideal. So it worked out great. And the plants themselves are looking beautiful. These are, did we put the honeydew in front and then the Tuscanese in back possibly? Either way, I'm super excited, and I think we will have some melons by the end of the season. We did seed some pole beans on this trellis as well. Our blue wheat, so it's big. It did get a little bit smushed down in our recent rain and windstorms, but we're starting to see some of the seed heads, which are not blue. This is supposed to be I guess it's supposed to vary based on climate, and maybe the blue will develop, and I can see a tinge. I don't know if you can see a tinge of blue there, but nothing of note. This looks like regular wheat, maybe even less showy than regular wheat. I don't know. The awns are really long though. That is something. So in terms of germination, they did wonderfully. They're growing beautifully, minus the little storm damage there. But the color for us in our climate so far is not impressive. At least they grew well. And that was just an experiment to see what would happen. Okay, first thing we're gonna do is put some Biotone starter fertilizer in our bed, and then we'll get our seeds planted. I usually use land and seed compost every time I do a kind of crop switch out, but I already applied that to the top of this bed when we cleaned it out. So we're good to go on that front. Just spreading that fertilizer around and kind of working it in. Okay, for our spinach, we're just gonna make some, I don't know, 1/4 inch or so little furrows along each row of drip line. And I cannot handle seeds with gloves. That's what they look like right there. And I just seed them kind of heavy, and I typically don't thin. I grow them more for just leaves instead of a big head. And it makes it a lot quicker to plant them. Okay, we're gonna cover them over. Spinach is done. Plant the peas next. Okay, for our peas, I usually plant them 4 to 6 inches apart from one another and go about a 1/2 inch deep or so. Another furrow. So this is interesting. My older bag here, these are pink. Sometimes you see that. They've been treated with a fungicide to help them germinate, and I usually do a couple every few inches here. And then my new bag, these are just raw, no fungicide on those. Okay, and we're just going to cover them over. done. Of course, there is a drip system in this raised bed, but I always like to water them in at least the first time to get all of them settled. And then I might have to supplement a little bit because this just runs once a day in the morning. Sometimes if it's been a windy day or extra hot, I'll run out here and give them a little bit extra until they germinate. See, I see a seed that kind of surfaced, and you can fix that. Perfect. Done with our planting. We've got our spinach seeds in and our sugar snap pole peas in. I'm super excited. So now we just need to spray our broccoli, which I ran to the barn. I found some Captain Jack's dead bug in a ready to use, so I didn't have to do any mixing. And this works great for any, it says even foliage, feeding, worms, or caterpillars, as well as the BT or Thuricide. And we use either one of them on our Supertunias or Super Bells. We recently did a video where I showed you where I sprayed the Thuricide or BT on those things to control budworm, but you can use spinosad as well. The difference, the BT is very selective. It only does caterpillars, and they are affected when they eat it, like eat foliage that has the spray on it. And it's a pretty safe one to spray around any kind of pollinator, things like that. This is a not as selective. We try on the flowering plants out in the garden to use BT because it's so selective, but in here these don't have any flowers on them. We don't have any pollinators feeding on these plants, so I think we are good to go. Ooh, that's coming out real. There we go. We need more of a mist spray. There we go. They're both really great, effective sprays. But you can read up on this if you want. We use it for all kinds of different things. It lists a bunch of stuff. Spider mites on the front, bagworms, leaf miners, codling moth, tent caterpillars. Oh, see, there's one right there. Look at that. Oh, nope. Just feasting away on my poor little broccoli plants. I see another one. Got it. Okay. Now that I know that that's an issue, we'll keep this on the list for the weekly BT round. Anyway, now we're done in here so we can go plant our sunflowers out in the dirt lands. Whoops. I also accidentally spilled a bunch of spinach seeds right here. So we're gonna probably have a spinach crop coming up in this spot. In the dirt lands, let's do a little crop update here before we start in with our planting. We've got our zinnias, which maybe I can figure out what day we planted these. We planted them super late. They are looking so absolutely gorgeous. Benjamin and I came out here last night and picked a great big vase full of zinnias and some other things that we have going on down there. If we shift here to the left, you can see our first crop of sunflowers is pretty much done. We've got this one variety that's looking so beautiful. Oh my goodness. And the bees, they just love it. Look at them. And I love the short little petals. I think they're the sweetest looking sunflowers. And the rest of them we're just gonna leave up for the birds and things to feed on. So they're just gonna stay here, you know, kind of looking a little sad, but a little like fall, honestly. And then, you know, we've got our corn, which we've been eating on a lot. Now the chickens are kind of getting it because it's a little bit over, like past its prime, but I'm gonna be using those stalks for decorating. Then we've got our crop of artichokes right here, which are looking beautiful. Look at all the artichokes, my goodness. We also planted these really late. Now these on the right-hand side are the Imperial Star, which I've never grown before, and these right here are the Green Globe. Kind of interesting that these are like lighter in color. Those are a little bit more silvery blue. These are a bit more green, and these produced a little bit faster, but not a bunch faster. I mean, you can see right in here, look at these. Oh my gosh, they are so pretty. And then we've got Feverfew, which look at the wind and the rain did. Oh my gosh, it's fine though. I cut a bunch of this for arrangements as well. And also, this is interesting because I came in down there first and started planting seedlings, and I spaced those a lot closer together than I did these. This was recommended spacing, which I don't recommend. I recommend going by half. And if you go by half, you don't have to stake anything up because things just support themselves. And I tend to like that because I don't like to stake things if I can get away from it. We've got a bunch of different varieties here. These are the singles, which I prefer, I think. Let me go back a little bit. Maybe we can get some names here. Oh, there's a big old buttonweed in here. Jeez. Oh, a few in this little spot. There we go. I considered leaving the weeds just to be an extra support to these plants. And then I think this is like Sunny Ball, maybe feverfew. And then look at these really fluffy ones. Aren't those beautiful? Then we've got Gomphrena. That's the raspberry cream. We've also got a bindweed in there with a very complementary bloom color. Actually kind of pretty. And then we've got the orange Gomphrena, a bunch of Rudbeckia, which I've been cutting on quite a lot. I love them. There's a bunch of different varieties. We've got Sahara, which is kind of a mix. You'll get some yellow with some more reddish. There's more kind of like that sunset kind of vibe. You get some that are very fluffy, some that are more single. It's just a really, really beautiful blend. Then we've got this one. Is this Prairie Sun? So pretty. Cherry Brandy right here. And these are Orange Fudge. And they're beautiful. I love these. Look at the pollinator activity. See all of them flying around? And these right here are the seed dahlias. And then toward the end, which they look fairly similar, are the tuber dahlias. This whole entire thing was planted way later than I usually plant them, which is kind of fun because it gives you a fresher crop later on in the season and you're not having to repeat plant some of the things. Like most years, I repeat plant zinnias. I'll come in, and do my May seeding of zinnias, and then I'll come in about this time or maybe a little bit earlier, maybe mid-July, and do a fall crop of zinnias. But I'm not going to have to do that because mine were planted so late. They're pretty darn fresh. They just started blooming within like maybe the last 2 weeks or so. This right here is where we had our ranunculus, and it's a complete bindweed patch. So we're gonna see how this goes. I don't know, I might not plant sunflowers there. We've got potatoes that need to come out soon-ish right here, but I am gonna plant sunflowers here today. And there's another crop of potatoes. Those are looking closer to being done and ready. And then we've got more onions, which I could probably pull more today. Yep. Some of our Walla Wallas are flopping over, looking done. And we've got a few candies left as well. I'll probably, you know what I'll do? Maybe we'll get the rest of our candies, even though there's a couple that haven't flopped over yet. We'll just finish up with the candies and plant sunflowers here. I think I'm just asking for trouble trying to plant them in that bindweed patch. I think those need to be sprayed out or smothered out something. If I clean those out today and try to weed them out and then plant some seeds in there, the bindweed will come up so fast, it'll smother the seedlings. And I'm clearly not out here enough to keep up on that. So I think I'm just going to choose my battles here. Aaron did come out here the other night and mowed down the weeds in the middle. That's super helpful. They were getting kind of big. Water is currently running, which is not ideal, but it'll make for easy weeding. There's not too many in here. Okay, so we're just going to kind of clean this area up, pull the weeds. I've got a rake. I don't know if I even need to rake it much. Biotone starter fertilizer, our sunflower seeds, which I brought a bunch of different kinds out. Let's spread them out here. I don't even know if we'll plant all of these, but I've got the Autumn Beauty sunflower, which would be a gorgeous one for fall. Well, all of these are. We've got Florist's Sunny Bouquet, which is really pretty. This blend looks like it has a little bit more yellow and apricot than Autumn Beauty. Autumn Beauty's got quite a lot of red. I did bring some Pro Cuts out here. There's Pro Cut Plum and Pro Cut Gold Light, but I don't know. I think I'm gonna stay away from the single stems for this seeding. Those produce one sunflower per stem and then they're done. We've got a Buttercream, which is a hybrid branching sunflower. And then I've got a couple that Sunflower Steve sent out, which are beautiful. We've got the Lemon Drop Mix, and this is called Marley Mix. Days to bloom on these are 60 to 75. So 60 to 75. Today we're beginning of August, so end of September into October. That's kind of perfect. And you guys, when you are seeding things like this, like a warm season crop this time of year, you want to make sure it's going to fit within your window before your average first frost date. And also you might want to add a week or so onto the maturity date. So if it says it, like this one, for example, says the Buttercream blooms in 50 to 60 days. So when you're planting these toward fall rather than at the beginning of summer, you might add on an extra 7 days and say, well, they might bloom in 57 to 67 days. And why you do that is because as you're approaching fall, the days get shorter and the nights get cooler. And so they don't perform as quickly as they would if you're like ramping up into the hottest part of the year. So anyway, I might be better off saving the Sunflower Steves possibly and just using, let's see, I'm gonna do some reading here. Yeah, 50 to 60, 50 to 60 day. I think I'm just gonna stick with the shorter days and I'm just gonna mix them all up and throw them in. And we go about quarter to half inch deep. Oh, easiest dandelion pulling you'll ever find out here. You know what? You don't need to use fertilizer when you're planting sunflowers. I mean, it's not going to hurt them, but they prefer to not have an overly fertile sort of planting situation. So I'm going to use my rake and just kind of move around the stuff I just applied here. Makes it a little easier. One last step. Okay, then I have to show you this. See this tool right here? This is called a V-Groove Cleaner. It's a DeWitt brand. I just bought this and I'm so excited about it because I always use like a winged weeder or something like that, and I use it on its side trying to make my furrows, but this is going to make the perfect little planting furrow. Love it. You know, I think I want it on this side of the tape. What potato? Missed a potato. Nice. Probably missed, oh, there's another one and another one. Geez, I probably missed all kinds of potatoes. Huh. They look like rocks. It's hard to tell sometimes. There aren't very many seeds in either one of these packs, so we're not going to get very far with these. We'll probably be doing a lot of autumn beauty and maybe some of the others as well. That's it. Okay, a couple seeds every few inches. I went in with the Gold Light variety right here. I have one patch of the Pro Cuts here. First section is done. So in the first section of this section, I planted a mix of buttercream and the Florist Sunny Bouquet. So those will come up right in here. And then the rest of it, I went in with the Gold Light, which this is a 55 to 65 day. So that will be pretty. And then I've got some bulk Autumn Beauty for the last section. We'll have to pull the onions first and some weeds. Also, I cut a bunch of dahlias last night, but look at how gorgeous this is. I do not know what variety it is, but it's one of them that I flagged and saved because I thought they were so pretty. I love the bicolor, and some of them come up without the bicolor, but they've got the flecks in the petals, which are so pretty. Also some of the pink water lily type, these gorgeous things. And then the seed dahlias are always just kind of a fun mix of color. You get a lot of yellows, pinks, and some red, typically. One that's starting to open, it's trying. Okay, task at hand. All right, done with this spot, Autumn Beauty sunflowers in this area. So we'll just have little blocks of color a little bit later in the season. And if these Walla Wallas get after it, which it looks like, you know, within the next week or so, we'll probably have all the Walla Wallas harvested, we can plant another little block of sunflowers. And our pumpkins out there just getting enveloped in weeds. We can mow between the rows, but not like right up next to them because they've vined out so far. I'm actually very hopeful for that patch because I was looking at them and most of the vines are looking really productive. Like they have a lot of fruit on them, and like our flat stacker variety, typically I get like 3 off of one plant, and there's many more than that on most of the plants. So I'm hopeful because if we planted 100 hills, maybe just over 100 hills, if we even got 5 per hill, that's 500 pumpkins. That's a lot. And I think we'll have more than that because like the snowball variety has got tons, and butternut squash tons, acorn squash tons. So anyway, it's just looking kind of like a kosher weed patch at the moment. But I'm happy to have some other crops planted. I'm not going to do a whole lot more for fall crops. Like I don't even know if I'm going to plant carrots for fall crops this year. But basically when you go in to plant your fall crops, it's a repeat of spring crops, so cool season crops. And you can Google a list for your area. Typically it includes any kind of green, broccoli, cabbage, usually from plants. I'm doing my experiment from direct seeding this year. Green onions, beets, radishes, again, peas. I'm probably missing so many things, cauliflower. Anyway, we've done lots of videos in the past where that's just been kind of my main goal, and we've planted a lot of fall crops. Zucchini, you can even plant zucchini this time of year. They come up so fast and they produce so much, so it's usually worth it. And cucumbers, short day cucumbers. Okay, I'm trying to multitask and it's not going well. Sorry, sunflowers. Kind of bumped into a couple of them. This base makes me happy though. It's such an absolute contradiction or opposite to the other parts of the garden. I think everybody needs a little bit of that in their life. All right guys, we're gonna go back and see what came in our shrub load. Now I know most of it's boxwoods, which excites me. I'm such a boxwood lover, and I think they're the new gen boxwoods, and I'm wanting to use those in our front entryway. So I was very much so looking forward to those. I didn't know they were gonna arrive so soon, but I do believe there's a few other varieties in the load as well. And I'm feeling raindrops. Not for long though, blue sky coming. Look at this pond berm, you guys. Look at how beautiful this is looking. Oh, such pretty color. See the pallets out there? We got 5 pallets. Oh, yay. Oh, okay. Boxwoods, boxwoods. Oh, here's some things. Some different things. Some hydrangeas, some yews. Oh. Okay, let's get all of these out, unpacked. I'm gonna get them watered, and then we will take a look. These are so gorgeous. My fave. Look at this beautiful sea of green. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have some fresh plants and boxwoods that are absolutely beautiful. Now we recently planted some of these. This is a variety called Freedom, and then down the way we've got another variety called Independence. And they are two new varieties of boxwoods moving into the Proven Winners line next year in 2026. And I went more into detail about new gen boxwood and kind of like where they originated the first time we unboxed them. But we used these in the new flower bed on the east side of the barn, kind of as a boxwood hedge right in front. And then I used them along the pathway, one of the pathways leading up to the Hartley. And I just think they've got the most beautiful structure to them. Beautiful color. I'm really excited to have them in our garden. Of course, I won't be able to report on them for a little while. You know, first we'll have to see how they make it through winter, how they look next spring, and then, you know, we'll have to see how they grow and fill in, because we've had varying luck with different varieties of boxwood in our garden. But you don't really know until you've had them for several years how they're going to really perform in your garden. But this one here, the Freedom boxwood, I think stays a little bit bigger than the Independence. It can grow like 4 feet tall by 3.5 feet wide. I can't remember the zone 5 through 8, but I just think they're beautiful. You can see the new growth is a little bit brighter than the old growth. Next up in the line, we have Snowfire, right? Snowfire Aronia? Yeah, Snowfire. And you guys, this is a phenomenal plant. We have 3 of these in the back of the south garden. They've been in for a few years now, and they are fantastic. First off, the deep green, shiny leaf. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. And in the spring, these load up with, I don't know, it seems like thousands and thousands of blooms per plant. I mean, just absolutely loaded. They just look like kind of spheres of white. And then the flowers are followed by berries, which are kind of like a bluish color, but in the fall color it's like fire. It's like snow and then fire. Snow in the spring, fire in the fall. And they're just awesome. And they're really, really tolerant of lots of different things. Lots of different crummy soil. They like full sun. They like the heat. I mean, they're really a great one. And when I saw I had the opportunity to get more, I thought I could use these pretty much everywhere in our garden. And then I saw these little guys in there, and you know, just at a glance, I almost thought, oh, maybe I just got some smaller Aronia Snowfires. But these are a hydrangea. These are a Pinky Winky Prime hydrangea. Aren't those pretty? I mean, when you put them up next to an Incredible Sublime, which is what these are right here, I mean, these just definitely have a different look. And of course, this is an arborescens type hydrangea, and this is a paniculata, but these leaves seem darker than the rest of our paniculatas. These can get pretty big, like 6 to 9 feet tall and wide, and they are a zone 3 through 9. I think these are a zone 3 through 9 too. I'd have to verify, but they're both tough. But the blooms on these, you guys, maybe we can toss a picture up on the screen. They're big and they're bright pure white, and then they turn to this two-tone bright white and bright pink. They're just absolutely beautiful. So I'm excited. We've got 5 of them here, and I kind of want to find a spot where we can do kind of an impact planting of these, I think. Although a shrub that gets 6 to 9 feet tall and wide, that's impact all on its own, really. And the Invincible Sublime hydrangeas, these are actually going to go out where we've got other sublimes out in the south garden. I lost a couple over the course of the winter, so I wanted to amp up our display. But they get great big limey colored blooms. I saw one. There's an itty bitty one. The ones out in the garden that we've got are the huge blooms. These are looking good. These are big. I watered them right away. I could tell they were a little weary from travel, so they should perk right back up. And these grow about 3.5 to 5 feet tall and wide, and they are a zone 3 through 9. Oh, here's another bloom. I just think that limey color is so refreshing and peaceful. And then we've got other replacement plants. These are Stonehenge Dark Druid Yews, which I have these lining a stone pathway up toward the front of our house, kind of by the Persephone garden. And we lost a couple of them due to too much water, I think, was our problem. And I really wanted to replace them. I think they're so pretty and they're so incredibly versatile. They can go from pretty much full shade to pretty much full sun. Anyway, I just think that that's a really fun kind of different option from a boxwood. And they grow 3 to 4 feet tall and 3 feet wide. And I think what I'm going to do with the ones up front is I'm going to shear them up a little tighter than I thought I was going to in the beginning. When I originally planted them, I thought, you know what, this might be a good spot to just let them kind of do their thing and let them be like kind of fluffy, but yet evergreen and kind of an anchor to the flower bed. And Aaron really would I think, prefer replacing them for boxwoods, but I think if these are shorn up a little bit tighter, a little bit more formal, they'll give us that kind of boxwood sort of feel without being one. So we've got a little diversity. You know, I love boxwoods and I would put boxwoods everywhere, but I also love it when we can find another versatile type of plant to use. And boxwoods and yews are pretty much the only evergreens that can adapt to different light requirements. And when you've got something like in this case, oh, there's a hummingbird. It's right there by the salvia. Flew really close to me. Anyway, we'll let it do its thing. But in that area, they start underneath the ash tree and kind of blue spruce area where it is pretty shaded, and then they end up in full sun. So I wanted something that could, you know, handle whatever light requirement and still be the same plant, so I didn't have to transition to something different. And then these right here are the Independence variety of boxwood, and I think these are my favorite. In fact, we've got more freedoms down here toward the end, and you can see the difference side by side. Like these have a little bit more brightness. They're a little tiny, and they're not loose, really loose, but they just look a little bit more fluffy. These Independence are so deep green, and they're so shiny that they almost look fake. And they're so thick and stout looking. I mean, just awesome. These get like 3 by 3, zone 5 through 8. Oh, I'm so excited. We got more of these than the freedoms because I think I've got an idea of how these are going to be used, and we'll probably use every single one of them. And the last ones, which I popped over here because I typically want a little bit more shade. These are a Castle Spire holly, and I was kind of hoping, like, these are supposed to grow in a cone shape. These are a little bit wild. Hollies don't typically like our area, but I thought it might be fun to have some to use for holiday containers, but I just don't know. These don't really have a shape that I'm loving for a holiday container. So I think what we might end up doing is maybe just growing them on a little bit more so that we can shear them a little bit more cone shaped. I just thought it would be nice to use something a little bit different. These do get berries on them, but you do need to have a male variety. This is a female variety of holly. So Castle Spire, you would need, like, Castle Wall is the male variety. A lot of times too, you'll find holly planted with the male and female in the same container. So you'll notice like part of the plant has berries and part of it doesn't. It's because you've got a male and female in there, and the female's the one that will have the berries on them. But they'll be nice to have. I see like some spots. I wonder if these are hard water spots. See, like this is what our plants would look like if we overhead watered all the time. When the leaves get splattered with water, ours get hard water really bad. I'm thinking though this looks like it's brushing off, so this must be something different. Yeah, good, we can clean this right up. Little side note, check out our grape trees. Look at this, look at all of these. Just amazing. Little bit of leaf miner damage on a few of the leaves. That one's pretty bad. You can also spray Captain Jacks for this kind of thing. But the fruit is amazing. I've actually been sampling it even though it's not ready yet. They're red grape varieties, so they'll probably ripen maybe in the next 4 weeks or so. But oh, they've got a good flavor. A little on the tart side at the moment. But shrub, perennial or annual delivery day is always a good day. So fun. Especially now that we're feeling a little bit of a cool down. Our 10-day, we don't have any temps over 100. There is one 99-degree day toward the end of it. Hopefully that'll come down a little bit as we approach. August can be very, very hot. Even going into September, it can still be hot, but we're nearing the cooler temperatures, which is kind of like the renewal. You kind of feel renewed energy and I don't know, just renewed motivation to get out and tackle more projects. So anyway, guys, that is it for today. Just wanted to get some fall crops going, just a couple, get the sunflowers going, and then this was a surprise. I was going to go out and do some maintenance. There's some perennials I need to attack and some flower beds I need to weed, that sort of thing, but this is always more fun than that. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you're having a great day, and we will see you in the next video.